Have you ever felt like a binge eater? Perhaps you're one of those people that is always falling off the wagon when you diet. If so, then this video is for you. I'm so excited because today I'm joined by Victoria Kleinsman. Before we dive in, I'm Lara, psychologist and food freedom coach, and I can help you create a healthy and happy relationship with food without guilt or emotional eating. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit that bell to be notified every single time I post a new video. Side note here, if you want to explore how you can create a healthy and happy relationship with food, check out my free Food Freedom Masterclass. Details are in the links below. So let's head over to my conversation with Victoria. Hi everyone, hope you're well. So I am so excited. We are going slightly different this week with my YouTube video, and this week I am absolutely delighted to be chatting to Victoria. So Victoria is all about empowering high achieving women who can't stick to a diet anymore, and obviously all of you who've been following my YouTube channel for a while know that that is absolutely what I'm about. And she's helping people feel normal about food and to love themselves, which is just so important. We need so many more people like Victoria. Victoria, welcome. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
And I would love it if you could just start by sharing a little bit of your story. What has your relationship with food and your body been like over the years?
Yeah, so I'll keep a very long story short. So just to go through the stages of my disordered eating throughout my life, if you like, I started my first diet when I was 9 years old. I remember using the Weight Watchers calculator, but it wasn't a digital one. It was one of those cardboard things where you like aimed the calories, fat, and I don't think it was protein up on this little cardboard circle, then it gave you the point value. So I remember doing that when I was 9. My mum had all the best intentions. We were doing it together. It was kind of like almost like a mother-daughter bonding to diet together. And then of course we would then binge together. And that's when it started for me. And then as I crept up into my teenage years, when I was 13, I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa. Very in denial about that. I did not want to see the leaflet that was handed to me and my mum when, she kind of dragged me to the doctors. And then I suffered with that for quite a few years, kind of healed physically, as in I wasn't medically low enough weight to be of any concern. But of course, eating disorders is mainly it's a mental disorder, right?
Yeah.
So that was still with me. And then I fell into an abusive relationship for 6 years and then developed binge eating disorder. So it was literally like the complete opposite of anorexia. Of course, maybe a lot of your watchers are struggling with binge eating. Mm-hmm. And then after that, when I left that relationship, I fell into the gym, the fitness world, which honestly did me more damage than the anorexia did. Mm-hmm. And then I fell into bulimia. And then after that, I kind of went for a few more different events in my life, ended up here in the Netherlands, which is where I am now, started my healing journey, and really dug deep as to what was going on with that. And of course, at the root of it all, it was a lack of self-worth, a lack of self-love with who I was. Yeah. And now my relationship with food is unbelievably free. I nourish myself from a place of self-care, which does include chocolate and ice cream, because that, takes care of my mental health. And I'm just so free and happy and confident in who I am. And that's why I help other women to feel the same way as I do.
That is an amazing journey. Wow. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a few questions about your journey. So you're 9 years old when you started your first diet, and with your mum as well. Can you tell me a bit about what did that teach you at that young age?
Yeah, I remember it so vividly. So I was out shopping with my mum and my auntie. They were always together, and they were trying on clothes, and I was 9. So I was allowed to pick a few things to basically try on to distract them from having to take care. Go and do your own thing. You can try whatever. And I remember picking a leopard print swimming costume for some reason. And I tried it on and I was looking in the full length mirror, and I used to love Winnie the Pooh at the time. And Winnie the Pooh has a big tummy. So I was blowing my tummy out and I thought it was really fun. And I was like, oh, look how big I can get my tummy kind of thing. Called my mum, like, mum, the whole thing that we do as children. Mum's like mid conversation. So she's not really understanding what the hell I'm doing. She doesn't realize I'm trying to imitate Winnie the Pooh. She just turns around, sees me blowing my belly out, looking in the mirror. And so her response was, well, you need to stop eating less sweets then, if you're worried about your tummy being big. And then I was like, what? And then I remember being really confused, like, what did that mean? And then, of course, subconsciously, I'd seen her dieting my whole life anyway as a child. And then I started to piece things together from my childlike brain. And then Mum actually offered the same day, like, oh, maybe you can, because she thought I was genuinely bothered about the way my tummy was sticking out. So, yeah, we started the diet together. I hated it, but I loved it because I was doing what my mum was doing.
Yeah.
And we were so close. And then, of course, dieting causes binge eating disorder. Yeah. So my mum would then binge every weekend or so. And then, in all honesty, I think it made her feel a little bit better as well if her daughter was kind of in on it.
Yeah.
Because we kind of, you know, if someone's doing the same thing as us, we don't feel as bad, even though it was her daughter.
Yeah.
I didn't see it that way. And yeah, that's where it all, I still remember vividly to this day, that's where it all started.
It's crazy, isn't it? And I always like to point out with people, because it's something that I work through with my clients as well, about what we hear as children, what we see around us, and how that really creates our core beliefs around food and our body image. But I always say to people, we need to remember that our parents were doing what they thought was the right thing. So we were so entrenched. We are still so entrenched in diet culture, but I think some people are waking up to it now. But back then, it's funny because your story resonates so much with me, because my very first diet was with my mum as well. And I watched my mum do Weight Watchers for so many years. And I remember that Wednesday was her weigh-in day. And on Wednesday at tea time, we were allowed more biscuits because she'd been weighed that morning. So it resonates so much with you. Wow, just such an incredible story, and kind of so sad in so many ways that this is what happens as children, and we see that around us, and that becomes who we are.
Oh, absolutely. Even without realizing it, even if even if the people watching or listening didn't start a diet so young, if you have grown up with parents, especially the mother, dieting, or even not liking what she sees when she looks in the mirror, like monkey see, monkey do, that's how we learn. And of course, as you know, Lara, if you imagine our unconscious mind, which is every cell of our body, like a software on an iPhone or a laptop, that actually runs our whole entire life unless we consciously stop and think, wait a minute, this is not serving me. What can I do about it? Which is what me and you help women to do.
Exactly. And that's the mindset piece as well, isn't it? It's bringing what we're doing in the unconscious into the conscious, so that we can then do something about it. And so at the end of your story, you started talking about, the last few years you've been in recovery. Could you tell us a bit more about what that process involved and how you came to be doing what you're doing now? Because you've gone from literally one extreme to the other.
Absolutely. My dad always jokes and says, my life is like a soap. So any British people watching Coronation Street or EastEnders, that's literally what my life has been. So I still like to bring humor into it. So how did I get where I was today? I moved to the Netherlands. I met a Dutch man in Egypt, fell in love, beautiful love story, was still in full-blown eating disorder when I met him. I was very lean, doing fitness modeling, had bulimia, binging in secret, purging through laxatives and exercise. Thankfully, I could never physically make myself sick. I tried numerous times, but I physically couldn't, which is a blessing in disguise. And I was cleaning. I used to work at a cleaning company because the language barrier was too big. When I moved over here, I had a job secured that fell through. That's not really relevant, but I was cleaning student toilets with my earphones in, listening to a podcast. And I was listening to the Model Health Show by Sean Stevenson. Mm-hmm. And Cynthia Purcell Garcia came on and told her story. And those of you that don't know, she's the founder of the Institute of Transformational Nutrition. And she shared her story. She's a health coach. And then I just thought a light bulb moment was like, I know what I can do to, quote, fix myself and help others as well. I can study to be a transformational nutritionist. Then I'll be able to fix myself. And then I'll also be able to help people. So I would love for there to be a survey done. Maybe there has been one done before, Lara. How many nutritionists go into nutrition study obsessed with food?
Oh my goodness. I would say that number would be very high, that percentage.
Yeah, so that's what I did, like thinking, oh, if I learn even more about food, then it's going to cure me. So that was the first step to my recovery, because little did I know, we did a lot of studying psychology, spirituality, the science in nutrition, mindset. There was a lot more to the study than just eat this, eat that, which was exactly what I needed. So that's when I learned what holistic health was, became certified, started my own business as a health coach. And then I've naturally and gradually fell into my niche, which is, funnily enough, me 4 years ago.
Yes.
Like high achiever, nothing's ever good enough, binge eating, hiding food wrappers, eating in secret, purging, over exercising. So I help women who were basically me like 4 years ago. So yes, it's been an ongoing journey, but that's how I ended up actually serving the women that I serve today. After listening to that podcast, changed my life.
Wow, that's amazing. So one podcast episode literally turned you on this almost like 180 trajectory. Incredible. And so I'm sure there's a lot of people who are listening to this and they're like, okay, I've done some of those things that you've mentioned. So the binging, the purging, the hiding wrappers, it's all stuff I've done in my past as well. So it resonates. So what tips can you give people to take them forward? So people who feel trapped in that diet binge cycle, what can they do?
Yes, absolutely. I have a ton, and I'll literally be here for probably 100 hours. So I'm going to give my main tips that will hopefully help the watchers and the listeners where they are right now. And again, I'm just assuming, so I'm sorry if I'm overgeneralizing, but this is going to help you regardless of what stage of recovery you're at. So first things first is to ask yourself the question, is this serving me? Is this diet, binge cycle, yo-yo dieting, whatever it is that you feel that you're stuck in, which is probably why you're watching this video right now, because, you're looking to better yourself and to get help, which is amazing. So I want to acknowledge you for that, each and every one of you. But ask yourself that question, is it, quote, working what I'm doing right now? And then the next thing to do is to write down, literally get pen and paper, old school, like typing is okay, but there's something that magical happens when you physically get a pen and paper and write down why dieting and binging sucks. Write it all down, like what you're stuck in right now. Write down everything that sucks about that. And then on the next page, there's probably going to be pages and pages of that answer. On the next page, write down, if you decided to start your food and body freedom journey, write down what you would be leaving behind. For example, I'm going to be leaving behind the dieting, the shame, the guilt, the constant body checking, all of those things. Write them down, and then write down what you're going to be stepping into. Food freedom, body liberation. You don't have to know how at this stage, because don't worry, you won't know how right now, and that's okay. But just energetically writing down where you are currently sucks, what you're going to be letting go of when you commit to this journey, and then what you're going to be stepping into. And then, as well as those key foundational things, the scariest and most exciting word I'm going to give you is allowance. Allow. all of your binge foods, all of your trigger foods, allow everything, which is the hardest, scariest, and most exciting thing to do, because we all think that we're going to be sat on the sofa eating our binge food forever and then die alone. To the core of my being, I felt that would happen to me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can relate. So allow. And then alongside that, of course, there's practicing intuitive eating. I'm not specifically an intuitive eating coach, because that can also be very problematic, because we can just put ourselves on the hunger and fullness diet. Because dieting is not an action, it's a state of mind. So practicing intuitive eating, practice building a relationship with your body. I actually put up a story on yesterday and the response was hilarious. I put a story on and my question was for the poll: if your relationship with food and your body was a lover, would you want to sleep with it? And 100%.
So interesting.
Yes. It's also a great way to ask that question around money.
Yeah.
Around anything. Because if you think, let's take the relationship with your body as an example. If you think, okay, if the relationship I have with my body was a lover, would I want to sleep with it? Most likely not.
Wow.
Because if you actually had a physical person, I used to, with my body, be like, I'm not looking, you're disgusting. Imagine if that was an actual person you had a relationship with, like, I'm not looking at you.
Yeah.
I hate you. Like, having that perception of seeing your relationship with your body as an actual person is so powerful and very helpful. So
it's so powerful because it just brings it to life, doesn't it? Wow.
Yeah. And it's true as well. Like, now my response would be absolutely yes, I would want to sleep with it, because I take care of myself. If I'm struggling, I'll be like, okay, come on, sweetheart, what's going on? Let's have a conversation. I know I'll probably sound a bit like a loony right now. Well, I parent myself.
Yeah.
I talk to myself with kindness. At the beginning of my journey, I remember my coach saying to me, just love yourself through the binges. And I was like, what the F? Like, how the hell can I be like, oh, well, I'm just going to love myself when I've eaten like X, Y, Z, Z, A, B, C, D, all of those things. But there's something very magical about holding space for yourself, allowing yourself to see yourself through everything. It all comes down to self-love. It's not about the food, which used to make me so angry when people would say, it's not about the food. And I'll be like, well, it is about the food because I can't stop eating it.
Yeah.
It's not, is it? It's about how you feel about yourself and your body and your worth. And there's so much to talk about, Lara, but I hope I've given a few.
That's amazing
so far.
What I love so much about your approach, Victoria, is that you're starting at a point of the mind and like up here, rather than, because I speak to so many people who they focus on the food and like you say, it's actually not about the food. Really, it's not. It's like none of my eating disorder issues were about the food. It was about what I was doing to myself. So I love that word allow. That's just such a beautiful word. I think it's wonderful. And your points about self-talk, because I remember when I first heard about the concept of self-talk, I was like, well, my self-talk is fine. And then when I tuned into it, I was like, oh, I'm hideous to myself. I'm awful to myself. I used to look in the mirror and I'd say this to my boyfriend, who's now my husband. I'd say things like, oh, I feel so fat today, and this, and I look so awful in this, and just all the time. And I remember reading something saying, would you say that to a friend or a colleague or a child? And I was like, absolutely not. I would never speak like that to anyone else, but it's okay to speak like that to me. Yeah. So I love that your approach starts off up there, you know, thinking about what you're doing to yourself and how you're treating yourself. And
yeah, because most people they see their behavior, which is the end result, which creates your reality. Like your behaviors, we think create our reality. For example, binge eating, so I'll keep putting weight on. Like we just want to change the end bit. Like I just need to stop binge eating, then my life will be fine. Whereas actually, it starts with, first of all, who you identify at a core level what your beliefs are, and then your mindset. Your thoughts literally can change and create your reality.
Yeah.
And until you grasp that, you're going to be making quick little wins with diets that will only last short term, and all the behavioral stuff. You need to go deeper, and it's hard, and it's scary, and it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for, to guide people through that.
Yeah, so true. And I think that's the thing, is like, people need to know that it's going to be, so for some people it is uncomfortable and it's hard, and you're bringing up old emotions, and you're maybe bringing up even old trauma of stuff that happened to you as a kid, but the only way to get past it is to go through it. So yeah, I love it. And now you mentioned a word which I feel like is the elephant in the room when we talk about this thing, is weight. So I know that a lot of people, when they start to recover, they're worried about weight gain. I'd love you to talk about that for a bit.
Yes. It is the elephant in the room, because if you ask 100 women who are stuck in the diet binge cycle now, what's stopping you from living in food freedom, I would put all my savings on the fact that people would say gaining weight.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
Because if you think about it, let's first of all understand why, and then I'll talk around that. If we never disliked our bodies, we would have never gone on that diet all those years ago.
Exactly.
So body image is at the root of any kind of disorder. Well, obviously there's some exceptions with severe trauma. 99.9% of the time, not liking your body image is at the root of disordered eating. If you want to go even one step further in regards to not liking your body image, it's not feeling worthy and enough as you are, regardless of whether you think you've got a hot body or not. So we live in a fat phobic society. It is very slowly getting better, but it's so ingrained in us. It's literally like in our DNA.
Yeah.
We get thin privilege, and it's always a spectrum. So when I was doing fitness modeling, I got even more privilege and attention and praise, and and now I'm in like a normal body. I'm still more privileged than someone who's in a larger body, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
Not okay. And I'm taking a stand for that, and a lot of women around the world are as well. And it starts with us. It starts with us for our children as well. So the reason we're so scared of weight gain is completely normal and natural to be scared of weight gain. I like to do a reframe. So the first thing is, when you fast forward and look at the end of your recovery, so when we're creating a vision of where someone wants to be in their journey to food freedom and body freedom, if you get over the fear of potential weight gain, it could be actual weight gain. It could just be the fear of the unknown. Like you might not actually gain weight, but the fear is real. So once you get over the fear, you're basically, in quotes, recovered. I mean, of course, there's always a spectrum. When you're no longer scared of weight gain, the food naturally falls into place because you're no longer trying to obsess about your body. But until you get to that point, there's a great reframe you can do. I've gained weight and my jeans don't fit me, and I had a great holiday and didn't have to worry about what I looked like the whole time. I've gained weight and I've gained so many memories with my family this year during lockdown. I've gained weight and I've learned how to start accepting my body and stop obsessing over food. So yes, weight gain is possible, and that's scary for some people to hear. I gained weight through my recovery journey, lost a little bit naturally, because of course we can then go into set point weight, which is you did a great video on that. I've seen, it's amazing. That's another topic of conversation, but just know that I want to leave you with the size of your body, how much you weigh, is not actually in our control. We think it is. It's not, because we've either got to continue restricting until we die, basically, to fight our bodies, or learn how to eat intuitively, build a relationship with our bodies, and then your body will naturally fall at a set point weight, which will not keep going up and up and up and up. So it's the fear of the fear is worse than the actual end result, always, with everything.
Totally. I love that, because I think that you're right. I think that the weight gain element is something that people are so scared about, especially when, I mean, I've worked with people who've been dieting for 20 years. So that's such a large proportion of their lives, such a long period of time. And to get away from the idea that we must lose weight to like, oh my, but then what am I focusing on? What's the point? It's like, well, you can do anything else.
Then what do I do with my whole entire life?
Exactly, my whole existence. And I love that. I gained weight, and like just thinking about it in the positive, it's like that kind of abundant mindset, isn't it? Of thinking about what else have you gained aside from
and then also why weight gain is such a quote bad thing. And then ask yourself why at least 4 times. And I mean this, it's going to be difficult. Get a pen and paper. Why am I scared of gaining weight? Write the answer. Why to that answer? Write the answer. And then ask why again. And then 9 times out of 10, you're going to get to the root cause again. I don't feel worthy in this body that I have today. And that's why I work with my clients through a lot of self-love work, a lot of self-worth, a ton of body image stuff. I've never woke up throughout my recovery journey. Some days I have looked in the mirror and thought, damn, I look hot today, like physically. Most of the time I'm body neutral, body positivity, like I'm celebrating what my body can do. I like parts of my body, and you know what, I'm hot overall as a person. Like I'm worth more than my body, because what's the alternative? To diet when I can't diet safely anyway, and diets don't actually work. We're missing that huge truth. They don't even work. So what choice do you have apart from to learn how to love yourself and learn how to make peace with food in your body, and then you actually have a life.
Absolutely. And that whole process, once you're through it, you get so much time back, so much mental space back, physical time back, time that you used to spend, whatever it was, counting calories, macros, obsessing over food labels, like worrying about how much of a banana you're allowed to eat, that kind of thing. You don't have to worry about it anymore. It's just so freeing.
So I remember it was 2 weeks ago, a client just finished 3 months coaching with me, and she sent me a message, and it was a voice message, and she said, now that I'm no longer afraid of weight gain, what the F am I going to do with my whole life? She's like, I literally have a blank canvas.
Amazing.
To create my life. And I was like, this is so exciting. Like, what do you want to do? And she's like, okay. And then we started brainstorming, and you actually, like you said, you're Zara, just making your name up, Lara, almost there. You just get so much space. It's like it's like time expands.
Exactly.
It's so hard to explain, because most of the beautiful men and women watching this will be stuck in the, do I need to count my almonds to have with my apple and peanut butter snack at 3 p.m. today? Like, F that. No way, not anymore.
Exactly. Love it. And now I could literally chat to you for hours, Victoria. It's been such an interesting conversation, and I love we're so on the same wavelength about so many things. It's wonderful. So if there are people watching this and they want to find you, like, where can they go to find you? How can they work with you? Can you share that information?
Also, I'm really looking forward to having you, Lara, on my podcast next week. So everyone, I don't know when you're releasing this, but Lara will be on my podcast. So look out for that.
We'll put a link in the details below for the podcast episode as well.
Fabulous. So I am Victoria Kleinsman, which, as you can see, if I get my head out the way of my screen at the back, the E is before the I, because it's a Dutch spelling, not an English spelling, everywhere. So Google, it's victoriakleinsman.com, Instagram, Victoria Kleinsman, Facebook, Victoria Kleinsman, and that's where you can find me. And actually say hello.
And your podcast as well.
Oh, my podcast is Break Free from Binge Eating with Victoria Kleinsman. So
amazing.
And I love to connect. So genuinely say hello, because I actually care about each and every single woman, man who is stuck where me and Lara used to be, because I know how it feels and it sucks, and we are here to help you. So please reach out to me.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. Lovely to see you. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
As always, I've added some more resources for you to explore in the links below. And if you're interested in watching some more videos on health, mindset, or food freedom, then check out these videos here. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and please do share it with your friends. Bye for now.